onion dosa, vegetable dosa, masala dosa, ghee dosa, and then butter dosa, plain dosa, and anemic dosa, very healthy and no taste. The khali dosa, khali empty dosa. Is it not? That's the meaning. And then we have something like uttappam or appam, and then pesarettu, and then ada. Many varieties are there. And in the coastal region, we have tellevu, neer dose, like that many. People need variety. That which caters to variety will always remain. That which is blind to such order, it loses. And see, we have to update. On this occasion, I wanted to share one more thing, though in later vein, you may have to seriously take a view at it. For example, because of the American culture, we have Mother's Day, Father's Day, Stepmother's Day, Teacher's Day, and many such things. We have in our tradition many festivals. We have to propagate that instead of that. I told about Valentine's Day. Why not be substituted by a better one like Holika or Kamadahana, something like that, or Vasantotsava, expanding over a month. Mother's Day, what else can be a greater Mother's Day than Gauri Habba? Because she is the mother who created her son without the help of any man. She is the complete mother and father to Ganapati. And when he is going to come, she would come one day in advance. And she will go with him. And she is so caring, she would subdue her predominance. And her son's glory will be boosted in front of her. And when it is said in some of the Puranas, when Ganesha fell and Chandra laughed, it is Parvati who cursed. And when Shiva chopped off his head, Parvati was hell-bent upon restoring him and giving all the boons so that he will be worshipped first. Means that is the nature of mother. So in Mother's Day, what greatness we have in American Mother's Day. In Indian Mother's Day, we have so much. Likewise, Matacha Parvati Devi, Pita Devo Maheshwara, Shiva is the greatest father. He would come to the rescue of anybody. If somebody says Shambho Shankara, even he would face death also. When Markandeya embraced the Shivalinga, when Yama was fast approaching, he would kick on the chest of Yama and drive away the fear of death. Such can become the Father's Day as well. And we know father needs a lot of discipline. Father expects a lot of discipline, and that is there in Jagarana. That's sleepless night and fasting and all that. Such a beautiful way of realizing the order in father and love in mother. And Children's Day, I think Nehru's birthday being called as Children's Day is the greatest disservice to mankind. Krishna's birthday can as well be celebrated as Children's Day. Who else can be the great darling of world apart from Krishna? He is the Purana Shishu, eternal child, eternal baby. No other god's babyhood and childhood is glorified and recorded as beautifully as that of Krishna's. And Krishna's adventures, mischiefs, plays, sports, and his amusements, all these things are such a wonder of joy and bliss. And so Krishna's Janmashtami can as well be taken as Children's Day. And Husband's Day. You see, Draupadi was rescued from the clutches of Kichaka on the Amavasya day. And so, what else a wife expects? Her respect is protected and restored by her husband. And that's what Bhima did, and that's why it is Bhimeshwara Vrata, Gandana Puja. That is just before the month of Shravan, we have the Ashada Amavasya. And husband's day is that, and wife's day, Vatasavitri Vrata. See, she who would fight with the god of death and bring back husband to life. What else can be a better day than that? Real wife should be that. So we have many counterparts, much better counterparts. In such way, we have to popularize Sanatana Dharma and the beauties of it. If not, I think rigidity will no way help us. And in that sense, we have to learn from ISKCON. Triratnam Dushkuladapi, Baladapi Subhashitam, like that. It's a good girl, even from a wretched family, should be accepted. Like that, good sayings, even from an ignorant person, has to be adopted. Like that, in ISKCON, we have Vedic coffee, an eggless cake. All these modern condiments and sweets, they have all become prasadams. Why not? We have to restore our tradition of Pongal, Tuni Tengulal, Poliyogare, Dadyodanam, Ulundogare. All that is very, very essential. Far more essential than this. But we have to cater to that line also. If inclusivity is not practiced, we will be having very great difficulty and danger. Very fast imposing, will be engulfed by that. Well, so these yajnas are like that. The vratas, yajnas, and then parvas, utsavas, they are all that. And that's why shunning all that as dry ritual is unpardonable. It can never be excused. Without having any ritual, we can't even think and comprehend of anything. See, we need something. Since 7 years, some of us friends, before 7 years, we started with an interactive session in English in the similar manner, Foundations of Indian Culture. And the product is a study circle, studying Kalidasa's Raghuvamsha. Every fortnight for 3 hours we meet, and this afternoon we are again meeting. Almost 17 chapters of Kalidasa's Raghuvamsha are over. Their text is a pretext. We meet. Without that commitment, we would have never met. And without a text, we would never have anything to talk. The text will be there. It will go somewhere in discussions. For 3 hours, hardly will be completing 7 or 8 verses, sometimes 4 verses. So many other discussions, other chats, so many things they come in. I don't know whether our friends have learnt anything, they have got any use of it, but I have been immensely helped. And my enrichment is extraordinary in that sense. The whole 14 days I wait for that 15th day. So, ritual is that. That becomes a pretext to so many other things, and hence we need that. Whether it is a shraddha, whether it is a vrata, or whatever, we need some agenda. After the agenda, something else will happen, but we need that, and that our ancestors understood and they did it. And I was telling about the participation of the Ritviks and all in the yaga, and then how they cooperate, and they take a pledge that we will not fight with each other. On that day, I forgot the name of that ritual. And that ritual is called Tanu Naptreshti, Tanu Naptra Ishti, Tanu Naptreshti. And then at the end, again, they reassume their fights and prejudice, and that is called Sneha Visarjaneshti. So these 16 Ritviks are there in the Hotragana. They recite the Rigveda. There we have Hotra, Maitra Varuna, Achavaka, and Gravasrut. And Gravasrut is given the in charge of squeezing the Soma. And Advaryugana, who will be leading the key Ritvik there, the manager, rather I can say, the executive director, as I can say, Advaryu. Advara is Yajna, who is in charge of the Advara is Advaryu. That he is, and then Pratiprasthata, every now and then he will be moving here and there and giving orders. And then Neshta, Unneta, Neshta, who is very close to the ritual happenings, and Unneta, who lifts various ahutis from their places and taking them to the fire altar. And the Samavedic groups, the Udgatra, the Rigvedic hymn, that will be sung elaborately in Saman. And later, some acts of offering oblations, pounding, squeezing will all go on, and that is taken care of by the Advaryus. The Udgatra will elaborate, Udgatra, Prastota, he will be elaborating at another level, and Pratihartna, he will again elaborate at some other level, and Subramanya, even more detailed elaboration. And in some sacrifices, Subramanya will be standing in a swing, jhula, and he will be swinging and singing. And Brahma, who is the boss in the sense who will be observing everything. If anything goes wrong or any deviation or violation, he will be remembering that, and he will be recording and he will be rectifying. Yajnatantra is very, very sophisticated. Even if a small blemish is committed, we have to take prayashchitta. And at the end, we have prayashchitta ahutis, they go hundreds in number. And Brahmana Shamsi, Agnidhra. Agnidhra will be taking care of Agnidhriya, that is one fire altar. And he will be giving a loud command as per the instructions of Advaryu. Advaryu says, now we shall offer oblations in the Mahavedi. Mahavedi will be the fire altar in the shape of a flying kite or Garuda, I told. Then Astu Shat, like that, he gives a command with a weapon made of Khadira wood in the hand. That is called Spya. Like that, as happens in military and all, they will be assigned some specific job. No other job they can do, they should not do. They have to do just that much, obey the master. In military and all, just the different hierarchy accordingly, one person will go, he will march, give a salute, and he will receive, and he will say take some commands, come back. We will be hearing that. But unless our immediate commander comes and gives that instruction, we should not follow. Like that military hierarchy is there, militant mechanism that is followed here. And then Pota. Totally we have 16. And then many more Ritviks are there. Sadasya is a versatile Ritvik, the 17th one present. And then Upadrashta, another assistant will be there. And then Muhurtika will be there to look at the Muhurta time and all. And then Dhruvagopa will be there, Abhigara, whose job is to melt the clarified butter and then serve that. And Shamitra, that Pashu which is killed or the offered, the body will be separated and the hide will be removed and the flesh will be taken and it will be cooked in the right manner and then it will be served. All these things will be done by him. Like that we have a big host of supporting Ritviks also. And all these people will have specific works and all community comes, and in the yajnas it is said, starting from the person who sweeps in the area, everybody will be getting the phala. Everybody will be getting the good fruits of the yajna. And one will be shocked to know there is nothing like muddy in yajna. Anybody can touch anybody there. And anybody can use any vessel to drink. There are specific vessels, but all the Ritiks will be using. Means muddy, musure, enjalu, as we call in Kannada. These three devils are not present in Yaga. I do know Enjalu has lot of hygiene. But why I am saying, these are all later things which came. Madi, Mailige, Musure and all that. We don't have any Sanskrit word for them. We don't have. So, for example, see, one great grammarian and a very great aesthetician of Karnataka, he wrote a poem collection of poetry and wanted my foreword. I wrote. There, I used one word, chauksha. And he yesterday sent a post and told me, what is the meaning of chauksha? Such a great scholar not knowing this word. Chauksha is perhaps a vague word used for muddy in Sanskrit. But this word is not found in any great work. Found only in some works which ridicule the people who are muddy. In the Chaturbani we find. And the words of Chaturbani are not even recorded by Monier Williams or Apte. Even today, not many dictionaries have recorded, not even few dictionaries have recorded the words from Chaturbani. I used it from that. It means Sanskrit people are unaware of word muddy. In this sense, Yajna Tantra is a wonderful mechanism by itself. Because of paucity of time, I am unable to give the details. And coming to the Upanishads as such, in the Upanishads I told more of lofty and spiritual meaning is expounded from the same Vedas. So, Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka and Upanishads, all these four, in spirit they are one and the same. Only in form they are different. Their purpose is to serve the only one thing, that is realizing the self. In the Isha Upanishad, the respect for creation and then the respect for the mankind and the respect for duty, belongingness, trying to realize the whole creation within and one's own self in every existence, and also not to be greed of anything, and acceptance, the karma yoga, not to be hell bent upon the fruit and yet committed to work. Such features, in one word I can say, Bhagavad Gita has been inspired lot from Ishavasya Upanishad. Much of the spirit of karma yoga and the Atma Darshana is found in Ishavasya Upanishad. It has 18 mantras, a wonderful Upanishad, simple and beautiful Upanishad. And then in the Kena Upanishad, we have an inquisitive approach. How the mind, how the sense organs and all work, which force is behind all that. Kene shitam manah patati, like that, the opening verse goes. And also, the highest truth is Brahman. And without that, the gods are also helpless. That is the second part of it. Even Agni, Varuna, and Vayu, Indra, they all become helpless. And this truth is revealed by Uma Haimavati. And here you can know woman coming and teaching the gods about the highest truth. Parvati teaching the highest truth. And in the meanwhile, I have to say, the Saptamatrakas of the Puranas and Agamas are represented by the 7 flames of fire. If you go to Shvetashvatara, you can know Kali, Karali, Vispulingini. All these are connected with Brahmi, Varahi, Vaishnavi, Indrani, like that, the 7 Matrakas. So Agni is Shiva and Agni Jwalas are Shakti. Like that, sun is Vishnu and the sun's radiance is Lakshmi. That's why she is called, Lakshmi is called Hemamalini. Many may not be knowing the name Hemamalini is attributed to Lakshmi. Hemamali is Aditya. Hemamalini is the spirit of Aditya or the force, Shakti of Aditya, like that. And then we have the Katha. In the Katha, we have the famous Nachiketopakhyaana, Nachiketas going to the Lord of Death and realizing the importance of Agni Vidya and Brahma Vidya. Agni Vidya is the representation of Trivarga, Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Brahma Vidya is the representation of Moksha. Means we need both Pravritti and Nivritti. The beautiful management of Trivarga and Apavarga, that is the matter and spirit. Here, form and content, all are very, very beautifully elucidated in Katha Upanishad. Then Prashna, 6 sages going to Pippalada with the doubts. And Pippalada answers all the doubts. It is connected with, mainly connected with the Annada aspect. I told the consumer and consummate, the Prana and Soma. The Agni Shomiya, Prana is Agni and Soma is the food offered. So that one, it's a cosmic yajna. In the yajna, that truth has to be borne in mind. Agni will be propitiated with offering, and that is Prana. All that is coming into it, that is the Soma. So Agni and Soma, this combination, the whole world is nothing but the chain of consumer and consummate. And in that way, all are interconnected. At one end I may be receiver, but other end I may be giving something. So none need feel deprived, none need feel bad for their existence. This is the problem of modern times. Some people think we are not productive, we are no way contributing, but their contribution will be there. Some people have to recognize and show that. At the same time, some people think we are the only contributors, nobody else is contributing, something like that. So this way of ego acting either way, that is the inferiority or superiority complexes, they have to be curbed, they have to be rectified, and this malady has to be treated. For that we have the concept of yajna, and that becomes the major crux of Prashna Upanishad. In Mundaka, it is about renunciation, mainly with reference to nivritti, that is there. And that's why in our tradition, sannyasis have to recite Mundaka Upanishad every day. That's our tradition. And then Mandukya, it deals with the Avasthatraya, the 3 states of wakeful, dream and sound sleep. I have told elaborately about that. It's a very short Upanishad of 12 mantras, and Shankara says Mandukya Mekamevalam Mumukshunam Vimuktaye. This one Upanishad is sufficient for self-realization of the people who are zealous of that. Because when once we realize that in spite of having no body, we will be enjoying the whole truth and beauty and existence. In that sense, transcending the body at the very life itself, that is Jivan Mukti, and that beauty can be enjoyed by analyzing these three states and their experiences, and that is represented. And this information, this wisdom is well elaborated in the main Upanishads, two big Upanishads, Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka too. And in Aitareya Upanishad, we have the highest truth, very difficult to pursue through sense organs, and the highest truth coming and dwelling in the body as the Atman. I told about the Vidriti, and then the Parabrahma coming and taking the body as his abode and all that earlier. That deals with that is dealt in the Aitareya Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad is comparable, something comparable to Katha and Ishavasya. The balance of Pravritti and Nivritti. Both in Katha and Ishavasya we have that, and the same message is carried over in a different manner in Taittiriya. In the 3 chapters of Taittiriya, we have the Panchakosha Viveka. I told about Annamaya, Pranamaya and other things earlier, and that one is there. And also Anandamaya, the Ananda Mimamsa. The Ananda is of primordial importance, and how Ananda can be realized. And at the physical level, one Ananda is there. At the spiritual level, the other Ananda is there. We have to aim at the spiritual one. If a person is given a hale and healthy body, authority, knowledge, information, power, resources, and mind for enjoyment and things of amusement, what all he could enjoy and find happiness, and that becomes one unit. And Yesha Manusha Anandaha. With that, scaling, we will be coming ultimately to Brahmananda. We should not take in the literal sense. It is infinite. Infinite means how many feet, how many inches, none can ask. Likewise, immeasurable, that is the Brahmananda. And then about the discipline at the convocation address is there, very beautiful address, and that can become the constitution of anybody's life. Basic truths: Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, speak truth, be true, respect your parents, respect your teachers, and respect the guests, like that. You see, the beauty is Matradevo Bhava means become a person to whom mother is God or goddess. Pitradevo Bhava, become a person to whom father is God, like that. Means the brevity of language is so wonderful, and the meaning is so subtle and beautiful. And then whenever we have confusion, we have to go to people who are compassionate and practice well. Alukshaha dharma kama syuhu. Aluksha, compassion, is very, very important. They should never be harsh and rude. And dharma kama, they should practice and they should love values. People of values and compassion, they become our yardsticks and they become our ideals. And we have to go to a living tradition, not to a dead tradition. For that, we have to restore Sanatana Dharma in its order. And then we have the cosmic fear concept. Because of the cosmic fear, the whole world is working. The cosmic order, Rita, of the profundity of that. And then food, clothing, and such basic essential things have to be shared with one and all. None should be deprived of these things. Such values are also given. Like that, Pravritti and Nivritti are well managed in Taittiriya Upanishad. And then we have the Brihadaranyaka. It's an encyclopedic Upanishad having so many upasanas. Starting from the realization of the whole creation as a horse, Ashva. Because Nashvaha iti Ashvaha. That which has no tomorrow. Means so transient, so impermanent it is. And Ashvatha is called that so. Nashvaha sthata iti Ashvatha. The tree will not be the same as it is today. See, some leaves would have fallen, some other leaves, tender leaves would have grown up, and some fruits would have fallen, and some would have been eaten up. and some branches would have been chopped off. All this change will go on. The world is that. Much of Bhagavad Gita's 15th chapter is after this, the Ashwatha. And we have reference to it in Kathopanishad also. So, this concept of Ashwamedha is in that sense. Rashtramva Ashwamedha. It's a nationalistic approach because it expands our territory, enhances our horizon at the spiritual level, and it deals with the life of Yajnavalkya also, a profound example of a person who balanced both pravritti and nivritti. One has to read and imbibe the beauties of Janaka Yajnavalkya Samvada and Maitreyi Janaka Yajnavalkya Samvada. When Yajnavalkya was going for penance, after renouncing everything, he had two wives. First wife, Katyayani, was materialistic and Maitreyi was not so. She was spiritualistic. She said, well, you have given me all the material share, but what for you are going? To seek my own self. Can I get myself by all these things? No, you can't get. Then teach me that. Then he says, all this is for self-love. Atmanastu kamaya sarvam priyam bhavati. If I am talking to you, it's just because of the love for that. Not to help you or not to serve or anybody, it's not that. It's for my enjoyment I am doing. Even the Raghuvansh study circle, whatever this afternoon I will be conducting, it is for my enjoyment. Unless I am happy, I can't serve anybody, I can't make others happy. This primordial truth has been well driven home in this Brihadaranyaka Upanishad and also the Avasthatraya Mimamsa in Janaka Yajnavalkya Samvada. And many rituals are there. I told how to sublimate and reduce the rituals from animal sacrifice to simple ritual of grains and vegetables, and even the internal yaga. This is very well propounded in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, the end of Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and also the wonderful features of Pancha Pranagnihotra. I told about the sacrifice that is happening, the yajna happening in the cloud formation, the yajna happening in the rains showering, and the yajna happening in the sowing of seeds, and the yajna happening in partaking with food, and the yajna happening at the level of progeny. So these Pancha Mahayagas, the Pancha Pranagnihotra, it is represented both in Chandogya and Brihadaranyaka. In Chandogya, you have many upasanas. If people are interested, you can refer to a book called 32 Vidyas, published by Adyar Library, Madras, Chennai. The 32 Vidyas became the fountainhead of all later upasanas. Upasana means meditation, chanting, involving in the esoteric experiences, all these things. They are all upasanas, personal experiences, relative experiences. They are not dismissed, but they are not the absolute. In spite of them, one can realize, without their help, one can realize the highest truth. But people who want a way means they have. In all bhakti movements, we have such upasanas, and these are the prototype models for all these things. And in Chandogya, we have three important sections. One connected with the conversation between Shvetaketu and Uddalaka. Shvetaketu, a fresh graduate from a hi-fi university, Stabdha, Mahamanaha, Anuchanamani. He was upstart, headlong. He had so much of confidence and pride in his education. He thought his education is the best, and he thought so much about the tradition and all. So Anuchanamani means, I am well initiated in the Vedas. I know that, I know this, something like that. And Father Uddalaka said, well, did your teacher taught that learning by virtue of which you will be knowing everything? Yasminnu khalu vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavati. He first says, no such thing exists like that. No, if you don't know, you cannot say that they are no more in existence. No, perhaps my teacher was not knowing. If he had known, he would have certainly taught me the best student I am. No. Unless you seek, nobody will teach. Your teacher would have known, but your arrogance would have made him not to teach that. Well, then you teach me. The nature of student. And in our tradition, the beauty is father becoming mentor, teacher to son. And in the Kathopanishad, son becoming teacher to father. Nachiketa teaches his father Vajashravasa by his deeds. And in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, husband teaching his wife the highest truth. And in Yoga Vasishtha, wife teaching her husband, Chudala teaching her husband the highest truth. Means who has to teach, who is the elder, who is the receiver, it's all immaterial. Who has knowledge, they have to teach. Who have compassion and realization, they have to teach. That is seen paramount in Sanatana Dharma. In other traditions, we don't find this in such intensity, in such multitude. Then he teaches the highest truth, and there we have the Tattvamasi. The highest truth is yourself. That is the message. And then Narada going after completing education to Sanat Kumara and saying, I learned so many things, yet I am not satisfied. I want something more. Then Sanat Kumara says, what all you studied? He gives a very big list. For people who seek information, you can know what all the studies which one graduate pursued in those days, or all the available source of knowledge, secular and spiritual, in those days. Then Sanat Kumara says, the fear is the key to lock every door, but it cannot open anything. And the root of fear is in the notion of the second object. Yatra anyat pashyati anyat shrunoti anyat vijanati tadalpam yatra nanyat pashyati nanyat shrunoti nanyat vijanati sa bhuma bhumaiva sukham nalpe sukham asti. Like that, where you never come across the very notion of a second thing, that being heard, seen, tasted, felt, and that is bhuma, sublime. And in sublimity you have enjoyment, in sublimity you have bliss. And this is the bedrock of Sanatana Dharma, sublimity, that is Ananda. So we have to aim high and approach that sublime heights. And then Virochana and Indra going to Prajapati for highest learning. That is the third important aspect of Chandogya Upanishad. Both want to know the highest one. From the demons' party, Virochana comes, and from the gods' party, Indra. Prajapati says, what do you want? We want to know what is the highest truth. You go to mirror and see your highest truth and worship that. Virochana looks at the body. Yes, body is the highest truth. I have to entertain that, worship that, amuse that, all that. So he goes. And that is the Asuratva. Asuratva, Dehatva, Dehavada. I am the body. I have to nurture my body. I have to embellish that. I have to entertain like that. The physicality of that. But Indra will not stop. He thinks the body will decay, body will perish, what else? Then he comes to Avasthatraya Vidya. So the spirit beyond form. This is how in the major 10 Upanishads we have the Indian spiritual tradition. And the same thing in different manner. In Shvetashvatara, more emphasis on bhakti is there. And in Kaushitaki and Maitreyi, we have emphasis on Vairagya. And Mahanarayana is a wonderful combination of so many details. We have day-to-day rituals are also sublimated to the highest level. See, coming out of guilt is one such thing. Every day in Sandhya Vandanam, Jalaprashana mantra is there. Water is being sipped. There, whatever sins I performed during the night, may they be emancipated. I shall overcome that. Yadanha yadratrau papamakarsham. Likewise, during the evening, yadanha papamakarsham. Means, first one should come out of the feeling that I am a sinner. This aspect is very, very important. And that's so one should get rid of that biases. One should become a free-willed person. Such a ritual, starting from that, we have how to partake with food. And while sitting in a array, making a line and sweating on floor for food, what mantra has to be recited, and how a person who connects with the Agni and Soma, he will be purifying the whole line, Asahasrat, Punktim, Punati, of thousands of people. All that naturally indicates we had so many ways of sublimating even insignificant things. That's very, very important. sublimation is the only way of going higher and higher. Rejection is a very dangerous way. Blind inclusion is another dangerous way. Sublimation is the best way. Accept and sublimate. When we accept and sublimate, we will be purifying it and we will be reutilizing that. So, this is how some of the major Upanishads are covered. I think we shall have a 5-minute break and meet. Thank you. Our friend Mr. Subramaniam told that even in China and Japan we have a ceremony, a ritualistic procedure to drink tea, something similar to the Somapana. Yes, of course, Eastern cultures have many parallels and they are distinctly different from the Semitic one. Here, sublimating any act, that is very important. Just having a cup of tea or just having a bowl full of soma or just having one morsel full of food, it is not the thing. It's something much more than that. I told on the other day about delinking the objects of daily utility from their utilitarian aspect and then looking at as themselves something else, like the pot becoming kalasha and rice becoming akshata. This is what we need. We have to sublimate the thing and we have to enjoy the things what we use. To enjoy that, we have to go beyond utility. In utility, we consume things. In art, that is in spirituality, we enjoy the things. And that's why consuming a thing is called bhoga and enjoying a thing is called ananda. Bhuja is the root from which bhoga, the word, has come. Bhujyate means bhojana, eating, consuming, means no more left. Just I am consuming and if I share, it will be lost from my side, something like that. But ananda, by sharing, it will multiply. In that sense, bhoga should transcend into ananda, and there the approach is seen. And now coming to the Vedangas, I had mentioned them, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chandasya, Nirukta and all that. Here I have a question. How are the swaras, shrutis, chanting patterns of the Veda mantras decided? Has this been maintained only by the way of teaching recitations from time immemorial, or is there a logic bar method to find out the correct swaras of each alphabet in the Veda mantra? Many misnomers are there. The swara is not something connected with Shadja, Rishabha, Daivata, Gandhara, others. The musical swaras, they are different from the Traiswarya of the Veda. In Traiswarya, it is the intensity of accent, the accented nature of the Veda, that is, for that this thai is very important. Sahasra Shirsha, Purusha Sahasraksha Sahasrapat, something like that if I say, or else if I say, Acharyaya Priyam Dhanamahritya Prajatantum Ma Vyavachetsi. There, some are in Anudatta, some are in Udatta, some are in Swarita, like that. The famed Mantra Pushpa, Yopam Pushpam Veda. The Veda is in Swarita, like that. Going upper and coming down. These things, they are not connected with the exact Sangeeta Swaras. In Sangeeta Swara, Shrutis are very important. Here in this Swara, the accented nature and unaccented nature is very important. Lightly pronounced and hardly pronounced and elongately pronounced, that's how it is there. And in the text it is said, this Rik is in Nishada Swara, this is in Panchama Swara, like that. If you go to a text of Rigveda like Satavalekar edition from Paradi, you will be knowing Swadhyaya Mandal Paradi. Every Rik is given a specific swara, but without Shadja reference, no swara can be realized in isolation. I don't know how all these things came into existence, but this much is true. Present day, what Vedic chanting is being done, that is not sung to a Shruti. And many people singing in many Shrutis, it is happening. And that's why people generally make a lot of fuss about the chanting of the Veda. The language is archaic and pronunciation may be difficult. But picking up the swara is not a difficult thing. To pick up the 12 Shrutis is far, far more difficult than pick up the Traisvarya of Vedas. They have made such challenges in the Vedic conference, national and international Vedic conferences, in front of many Vedic scholars who chant. I told this and they had no answer but to accept that. I am saying this chanting is connected with the grammar also to a certain extent. That's why the Shiksha Shastra has come. But not all words are there. To tell you frankly, many times the rules which are framed in Paniniya Shiksha Shastra and even in Paniniya Vyakarana Sutra, there more than the rules, exceptions are more. You will be realizing very easily that when the exceptions are too many than the rules, then the whole procedure is not scientific. So this has happened with these swaras. Anyhow, we do have certain validation for that. Example, when the compounding of words occur, Rameshwara, this word, this can be compounded in three manners. Ramasya Ishwaraha, Rameshwaraha. He who is the Lord of Rama. That is Shiva. Or Ramo Yasya Ishwaraha, Saha Rameshwaraha. Rama, who is the Lord of this person, means Rama is the Lord of Shiva. And Ramaschasau Ishwarascha Rameshwaraha. He who is Rama as well as Shiva. So first one, Ramasya Ishwaraha is Shashti Tatpurush Samasa. Ramo Yasya Ishwaraha, Saha Rameshwaraha is in Bahuri Samasa. And Ramaschasau Ishwarascha is in Karmadharai Samasa. One is Purvapada Pradhana, other is Uttarapada Pradhana, and the third one is Ubhayapada Pradhana. Like that, when the samasas are different, accordingly the swaras change. So Rameshwaraha, Rameshwaraha, Rameshwaraha. Like that, if I pronounce, the samasas will vary. So to know exact samasa, when the word is in ambiguity, it will help. And also by the way of swaras, you will be knowing whether it is in Atmanepada or Parasmaipada. Means there are three ways of dividing Sanskrit verbs. Atmanepadis, Parasmaipadis and Ubhayapadis. Pach is one dhatu, which is in Ubhayapadi. Pachati, Pachate. Pachati is Parasmaipadi. Pachate is in Atmanepadi. Means I cook for others, that is the meaning of Pachate. I cook for my own self, Atmanepadi. I cook for my own self is Pachate. I cook for others is Pachati, Parasmaipadi. But no time all these rules were practiced even in Sanskrit. Even great poets like Vyasa, Valmiki, Kalidasa, Bhasa and others, they have not cared all these things, they have used it. But the rule is this. When Atmanepadi and Parasmaipadi both are present in a dhatu, Ubhayapadi, accordingly we have to use. So, to know in which sense he has used, for one's own self or for others, we need that. For all these things, swaras are essential. That's why we have a specific Shastra called Shiksha Shastra, and they have been developed by the Pratishakyas. And in Samaveda, we have the swaras, 7 or 6 swaras. And in Samaveda, we find a reference to the Saptaswaras, which are the ancestors of the modern Saptaswaras. But till the advent of Vidyaranya, in Indian music, Shadja was not fixed. From Vidyaranya onwards, Vidyaranya, the famed founder of Vijayanagara Empire, the great seer, scholar, statesman, after him, in his Sangeeta Sara, from then the Raga pattern became the Mela Prakriya and not the Grama Prakriya. Before that, it is all Grama. And in Natya Shastra, we do have that, similar to Western music, where in Western, we don't have a fixed Shadja. And that's why they can create so many symphonies and so many counters can all be given. It was earlier so in India also. But because of the Shadja Nishchaya, it became a boon. We developed a distinct system also. And so, Vedic recitation is a big deal. Now, going to the other aspect, that is Vyakarana and Nirukta. They are very important with respect to the linguistic formation. Tomorrow, I think I'll be discussing more on the language Sanskrit as such. And one thing I can just say, people who know no Indian languages, let alone Sanskrit, not knowing any Indian language, if they are unable to think, read and write in any Indian language, in spite of their enormous erudition in English or whatever non-Indian languages, they cannot understand Indian culture. Just before today's session, we were talking over coffee. I was saying that our abuses cannot be understood. How to translate Bodi Maga, Munde Maga and all that? Pardon me for using unparliamentary words. I can't say unparliamentary, the parliament is worse now. And even the idioms are different. And the very approach is different. See, when somebody is sick, when somebody is falling ill, in Kannada we say, Nanu mainal sariyagilla, Yanaka odambala sariyagilla, Naku vantlo bagaledu, like that we say. But in English we say, do we say, my body is not well, I am not well, I am sick, we say. Nenu bagaledu, naan sariya illa, naan sariyagilla, nenu sarigga ledu. Can we say so in Indian languages? Means in Indian language, in the very opening itself, there is an unknowing feeling that body and self, Atman, are different. So the Dehatma Bheda is present even in the commonest approach. For these things, we have to know our languages. Without, we cannot understand and we feel. And that's why the Anvaya also, all Indian languages, they follow one syntax and one semantics. But in the West, it is entirely different. Whether it is Sanskrit or Tamil or whatever. Aham graham gacchami. Naan veedku pogirenu. Nenu intiki veldtanu. May ghar jata hu. Like that, it's all there. But in English, naturally, the syntax and semantics, they're all different. Starting from there, we have so much of difficulty. And that's why it's always better first to learn an Indian language. And in this juncture, I have to ruthlessly shun our dance fraternity and even nowadays music fraternity. They are doing a lot of disservice by not learning any language properly. Their English is not even knee depth. Not to speak about any Indian languages. But they say, we are very comfortable in English, we are very comfortable in English, speak in English, write in English. What all they can understand? Nothing. Apart from gesture languages, they know nothing. So, I remember the quotation of Damodara Sudha Kalasha, who wrote Sangeetopanishad Sarodhara from Gujarat in 13th century AD. Kalesmin nartaka murkha sangeetagnyas tathaivacha. In our times, the dancers are idiots, so also the musicians. It is much more proven truth today. So, one well-rooted tradition of Indian languages, very, very important. And all the people who are going out of our country or within the country, who are unable to teach one Indian language to them, very well rooted, they are doing a lot of disservice to themselves, not only to the country, to the heritage, to themselves. And as John Milton says, one tongue is not a tongue. I remember one of my friends was saying, if you know 2 languages, he is bilingual. If it is 3, trilingual, many polylingual. If you know one tongue, he is called American. If at all we have any word for self-centered nature, it has to be American. But for themselves, they know nothing about the rest of the world. So, in our tradition, so many people knew so many languages and all. In that case, is it difficult to learn a language? And I think learning the Indian language, one of the Indian languages at least, Well, is the first step towards learning Indian culture. Because language opens a big avenue to culture. Without that, we cannot understand. So many details are present. See, can we say, if we say, Agni Pratishthe agidyo, Agni Benki bitta manege, manege Agni bittidya, can anybody say that? So, Agni means we have some special significance. Tirtha and water. Why we need two words, holy water? Do we have Pavitra Tirtha? We have only one Tirtha. Tirtha means Pavitra. So, in the connotation, we have such subtle variations, implications, all that is very, very important. And not to speak about the importance of Sanskrit. Sanskrit is Vibhuti. I have often and often felt even Krishna should have had added few lines to Bhagavad Gita. If I am permitted to add, I will boldly add, Bhashanam asmi Bharati. Rashtraanam Bharatancha asmi Bhashanam asmi Bharati. Among the nations I am India, and I am the languages I am Sanskrit. So the God should have spoken. That is the importance of Sanskrit. Tomorrow we will be dealing more. And then the Shiksha Vyakarana and then Nirukta etymology. Every word has an implied meaning, and the root will be going to it and beautifully elucidating that is not found in any other language so richly and so repletely as in Sanskrit. There we need Nirukta a lot. And Nirukta should not be misused. Misuse of Nirukta has happened a great lot. And such misusing Nirukta to one's convenience has been done to an extent by Madhvacharya and Dayananda Saraswati. And some poets, of course. Why I am saying, any convenient meaning of my choice can be imposed on the word. That should not happen. That's why in the opening of Nirukta etymology, it is clearly said, Idam na avyakaranaya na nirbruyat. This Shastra should never be taught to a person who is not aware of grammar. Nirukta goes by the Yogartha, but grammar goes by Rudhyartha. There are two types of meanings to any word. One is yoga and other is rudhi. Yoga means the intrinsic meaning. Rudhi means the meaning of usage. Grammar goes by usage. Nirukta goes by the intrinsic nature of it. Many times, the intrinsic nature would not be the intention. For example, Jalaja means anything which is born in water. But Jalaja in Rudhi, in usage, is lotus. So Jalajamukhi means a lotus-faced woman, a woman who has lotus-like face. Jalaja means even mosquitoes born in water, even crabs and frogs. So she is frog-faced or crab-faced, can I call so? So, Yogat Rudhir Baliyasi, this is the rule of Sanskrit grammar. More than the intrinsic nature of that, it is the usage that is very, very important. Means you just see the practicality of our ancestors. And that's why only in special cases, with the help of Vyakarana, Nirukta should be used. Under the guidance of Vyakarana, Nirukta should be used. If not, all things go rotten. Why I am saying this? In the Bhagavad Gita, at the end it is said, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara, Tatra Shrihi Vijayo Bhutihi, Dhruva Nitir Matir Mama. Wherever Krishna is there, wherever Arjuna with a direct bow, there we have fortune, victory, and then knowledge and whatnot. So, moral wisdom, everything are present. Like that, with that aspiration, the great message of Krishna ends. Madhvacharya writes, Yatra Partho Dhanurdharaha. It's not Partha Dhanurdharaha, Partho Adhanurdharaha. That son of Pritha, that son of Kunti, without a bow, and Krishna. Means he wants to have Bhima there. Because in this tradition it is said Hanuma, Bhima, Madhva. So Madhvacharya's Purvavatara is Bhima. So Bhima is more important in Mahabharata than Arjuna. So Hanuman is more important than Lakshmana, something like that. The Sri Vaishnavites have taken Lakshmana and the Madhvas have taken Bhima. But they have not taken the spirit of the epic. Why I am saying this? Religion coming in the way and hampering the interest of epic and art. Adhanurdhana means without bow. Arjuna had bow. Bhima never used bow, though he wielded the mace well. But Adhanurdhana means even Dharmaraja never wielded his weapons well. He was expert only in spear, that is in Shula. Why not Dharmaraja? Why only Bhima? Arjuna's famous name is Dhananjaya. Dhanam Jayatiti Dhananjaya. But Bhima can also become Dhananjaya. Krishna is Vasudeva, son of Vasudeva. Why not Balrama? Is a Balrama illegitimate son of Vasudeva? But famous, a Rudi is very important. That's how it is Dhananjaya as Arjuna. So, yoga coming in the way of Rudi and misrepresenting the meaning, there are hundreds. Why I am saying in our tradition, we do have corruptions. But more than that, we have really worthwhile material. These things we have to see. Where the yogikartha, the niruktartha is enhancing the existing meaning and supplementing the meaning, there we can use it. Not at the cost of Rudhyartha. When Rudhyartha is entirely wrong, then you have to go for yogartha. But not the other way. Yatra Partho Dhanurdhara clearly means it is Arjuna. Pandavanam Dhananjaya has said, for there also Dhanam Jayatiti Dhananjaya, it is not Arjuna, it is Bhima. That's how it is made. It's all stupid. I can't say any other thing, it is stupid. So, in that way, Shiksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta and all should be well used. And Chandas, of course, tomorrow I will be dealing more with that. And Jyotisha, many people have many questions regarding this. Jyotisha is not a science in the sense, the word which is being used now. But a thing which is not a science, can it not have a right for existence? But the thing is, when we want to prove a thing as science, we will be having problem. We need not. Our musicians have never taken troubles to prove that their music is science. And our dancers have never, and our poets have never put themselves to difficulty of proving that. Whenever we want to prove a point which is of no use, all these problems they come. It's a probabilistic science. It's something like weather forecasting and market fluctuations of share market, fluctuations of share market, something that it depends on so many parameters and it is valid and it has its own validation to a certain extent and it has its proven use also. And any learning can be misused. In the name of science, so much of hoax is being done. We know that many pharmaceutical companies, they pay so much of bribe in terms of billions of dollars to so-called scientists and they come out with so many crazy, cranky reports every now and then that drinking coffee will reduce cancer or consuming tea will enhance cancer, all such things. Once a report had appeared in the newspapers that consuming wheat causes cancer. Anything can cause cancer, especially such reading and research. So in all these things, I think any subject can be misused. That should be known. Well, I am not to prove any point regarding Jyotisha, but what I say is, it has its own features. It works on some postulates and assumptions. And it is valid to a certain extent. Likewise, in the Vastu also, Vastu is more meant for efficient utilization of space in a conducive manner. In the ancient texts, we don't have so much of menace which has been created now in the name of Vastu. I have to devote a separate session itself for Vastu, but I can say this much. Modern Vastu is a racket created by the genius of the Vastu expert, the architect, and the contractor. I am not a believer of Vastu, but if I have to rent out my home, I should build in such a way that it will suit Vastu. But most of the Vastus, they are meant for utilizing the space in a decent manner, and that too of one society. For example, in ancient India, In a village or in a city, one burial ground used to be there, and that to the southern direction. Southern direction is governed by Yama, the Lord of Death. But today in Bangalore, we have not less than 10 burial grounds. To people who are in Jayanagar, the Wilson Garden crematorium and burial ground is to the northern direction. You might say that Jayanagar and JP Nagar people are all rotten, they are all misfortune people. No, they are flourishing very well. When compared to the poor people of Prakash Nagar and other places near Rajaj Nagar, where the Gayatri Nagar and Rajaj Nagar people, to whom the burial ground is towards the southern direction, Harishchandra Ghat, the average richness of Jayanagar and JP Nagar is far more than the Gayatri Nagar, the poor Gayatri Nagar and Rajaj Nagar. Means here we have to be wise enough to know what is what. And I told about the difference between astronomy and astrology, and it is more used for the Yajna Tantra to find out the suitable time. And Raladha is the person who developed that, and Nirukta by Yaska, of course Vyakarna by many people, Panini is one of the foremost person, and Chandas by Pingala. And Indian mathematics has developed very well. Tomorrow, if time permits, we can look at those things.